Welcome to Baked and Dabbed. I'm Lena. I'm baked and I'm dabbed, and I'm going to tell you what's on my mind today. Let's get into it. So, what is this? This is my attempt at doing something. My name's Lena. I am a person who has a lot of experience. I've been through a lot, I've seen a lot, I've learned a lot, and I need to get it out and share it with people, and that's why you're here. So, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Baked and Dabbed is and what I'm going to do with this show. And hopefully you'll follow along and see where it goes. So let's start with Twisted Oven. Because I bake for a celiac, I need to bake things a little differently. So everything I bake is a little twisted. I love to cook. So being in the kitchen is something I really enjoy. And we're going to spend some time there too. And baked and dabbed. Well, I think that speaks for itself. I'm baked and dabbed, or we're baking and dabbing, or baking and dabbing. We're doing something. So what are we going to do in this show? I'll either sit and answer some questions, or maybe I'll scroll through my social media and see what's going on and discuss it with you. Maybe I'll have a friend come over and just chat with friends while we're baked and dabbed. And the other thing that I want to do with this channel is teach you some things in the kitchen that maybe you don't know. I was raised in what's known as an ingredient household where I had ingredients and I had to learn to cook using what was there. Not many people are that way anymore. And I think that the idea of cooking intimidates people, and it doesn't need to. Now, baking, on the other hand, I'm still trying to get good at that one. Now, you're going to join me as we do some fun things, whether it's here on the couch or whether it's with friends or out in nature or in the kitchen. And we're going to see what information I can give you. So why me? And why should you follow me? Well, I'm Lena. I'm a Zennial, millennial, old person. Of the 44 years I've lived on Earth, I've come to realize that I believe that the meaning of life is to learn, to explore, and to experience everything you can in the time that you're given. And I think that encompasses what I like to live by. And sometimes it's harder to live that way. Sometimes I forget and I backslide. But if you're not learning something, if you're not finding out information about yourself, about the world, about something new, what are you doing? But then I've also come to realize that that's a Sagittarius thing and apparently fall into that. I've never put too much stock into horoscopes, but I'm starting to realize that some of the things that are in them, the traits, things that I do possess, some of the things that we're going to talk about when we're here on the couch, life, relationships, and some kinky things. I've been in the BDSM lifestyle for over 13 years as a participant and an educator, and I love sharing what I know. I have a series of educational programs that are be coming out as an ebook later that I'm almost done with to help you get started on your kinky journey. I am also non-monogamous from a monogamous background. And I have different views on things, but I have learned a lot in my journey, and I'd love to share that with you. So if you're in that journey and you don't know where to start or what to do, you should follow along here. I've been in a very long relationship, so that gives me some insight into relationships and interacting with people. And one of my hyperfixations has always been mental health. From a very young age, I felt like something was different and I didn't know what it was, and I wanted to know. That's that spark of education that I have. So I've spent most of my life trying to understand mental health and where that comes from and how it affects things. And as scientists get more and more educated on different things, more and stuff is coming out. So I'm always learning. And if you have information, maybe I've said something wrong, tell me. I'd love to learn. I love to know where I've messed up and um, how to improve. Now, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Several years ago, I separated from a position at a job where I wasn't happy anymore. I realized that the people I was working for, their ethos, their moralities did not align with mine, and that was just exemplified through rising political tensions. And so I felt unsafe in the environment. I'm a queer, non-binary ish, sometimes femme presenting AFAB person who is a advocate for the LGBTQ community. When I realized that didn't align, we went our different ways. It wasn't the neatest of exit on either side. I'm proud I stood up for myself. That's something that I've been working a lot, real hard on doing. So that being said, I left that job almost 2 years ago. And during that time, I've tried several different ways to start my own business. I get ideas. I love getting ideas for businesses and logos and art and for them and creating all of the stuff to get it started, all of the beautiful, the fun stuff to look at, the logos, the media packages, all of that. But the follow through is where I lack. And I figure I need to do something. I've put in job applications everywhere, and everyone knows that the job market right now is no good. There's nothing in the job market for anyone. And I come from a background where I was sold the get into tech, learn computers, do this, do that. And every time I did and was told to get the IT job certificate, get the cybersecurity, get the data analytics, and every time I did that, everyone else did too. And everything got flooded with the same people. And I've tried to reinvent myself several times. It's never quite, I mean, it's worked, but I've always thought I was meant for something different, something bigger than what I was doing. And I didn't know what that was. I think I need to get the information in my head out. And that's what this is. One of my nicknames was Miss Frizzle, like the cartoon teacher, um, because I used to live in a bus, a converted school bus into an RV. And I know things. I may not know everything about everything, and I may not know all there is about one topic, but I know a little bit about a lot of different things. And if I don't know it, I can usually find that information. That's another thing that people don't understand is how to find the information and how to know what you can trust. And I hope that during this time, if there is a question that comes up that I don't know the answer to, that I can take you guys through my process on how I think through answering that question, and finding what I believe to be a good answer. So you're going to come along with me as we try to figure out what we do with this. As I mentioned, I love to cook and I love to bake and I love to be in the kitchen. When I was in middle school, my mother pulled us out of the public school system and said, "It's not safe. I need to homeschool you." And this was pre the most recent wave of that happening. This was 90s, 1990s, so long ago. And she pulled us out of school, and she was a previous Montessori teacher, which meant everything was hands-on, and she really wanted us to be part of our education. And so she had some books to start us out, and then she encouraged us to find other things for us to do. And at that point, I had found an educational program that the Weather Channel put on. And so I got the information from the Weather Channel for that, and I followed along every day in the afternoon and learned about clouds and storm systems and things, and that was really fun. And in that same vein of thinking, I became addicted to PBS and their cooking shows. Yan Can Cook and Ming Tsai and Julia Child. And there were so many others at that time that were very formative in my life. And I thought, I can be one of these people. And I tried all kinds of experiments with cooking in the kitchen. I made green pasta for St. Patrick's Day one year. I tried to make a chicken pot pie, but used tofu because I was going through a vegetarian phase. But that sparked me learning to cook more and wanting to pursue a career as a chef. Um, I applied and was accepted to a culinary school before I um, made it out of high school, but I was too scared to travel across the country to do it. And in high school, I, as a vice president of the art club, was sent to Paris and London for a vacation. That was a pretty lucky situation. I'll have to tell you about that sometime. But while there, the teachers knew that I was interested in cooking and had set up classes for us at Le Cordon Bleu so we could learn. And that was amazing. I also remember touring a Le Cordon Bleu in Dallas, I believe. I just remember that I've always been interested in cooking. It's just not something I ever pursued officially. I've taken classes and I've enjoyed it. And more recently, I've started working with a client who sells specialty food products, and it's been interesting learning about that avenue. And I had hoped when I started working with them that it would lead me to bigger, brighter futures doing something with cooking, maybe. Um, During my first few months with them, I produced and edited from start to finish, recorded and edited from start to finish a cute little 25-minute cooking video for them. And, I was very pleased with how it turned out. And I think that I don't want to be a producer, but I wouldn't mind cooking on TV somewhere, but not TV because that's over and done with. TV's out. It's social media, but there's so many people cooking everywhere. Everyone has the same ideas. So what I'm going to teach you is things that I do because I come from a very poor background. I know a lot of the tips and tricks for making food last, making it stretch, and using things in creative ways. Because I love cooking, I understand spice and flavor profiles and being creative with that, and some of the basics on how to do certain things to make things work, like what thickens sauces and how I can make a custard. And because I like trying new things, I have a lot of fun ideas for food. So I think it'll be a fun journey. And if you have an idea or if you have something that you're interested in, or maybe you're like, I have this in my freezer, what can I do with it? I don't know. Or maybe you want to tell me what's in your cabinet right now and I can tell you how to cook it. But I like to do what I call my own chopped, my version of chopped at home. I wait till the last minute before my family comes home and I go, what can I cook with what I have? And so I'll take you through my thought process on that when we go through the kitchen and how I decide what to make, how I make it work to have something ready within an hour and have it taste good, usually. Now, baking, on the other hand, that's something that I feel is a science, and I'm not quite that scientific. There's a lot of wonderful gluten-free recipes out there that I try to recreate. Not always. I do my best, and they're not bad. So you can come with me as we try to work through the gluten-free part of my twisted oven bit. I also have a really close friend who likes to come over and we sit and chat about life and things that are happening. And the two of us really enjoy um, getting baked and dabbed and then just rolling and seeing what happens with it. We've talked about some amazing things. There's been some very funny things. And it's stuff that I think would be interesting to listen to. If you're doing work around the house, if you're maybe doing some kind of repetitive tasks and you need something to listen to, I hope that us talking could be that in the background for you. And you could maybe learn something from two people who are semi experienced with life, who've had to experience a bunch. You'll learn more when we do those kind of things. And there'll also be some cameos from my amazing puppy. She's no longer a puppy, but she likes to hang out with me and she'll join us at some point. Well, for the last few minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my cannabis experience and why that's such a big part of my life and why that's become such a huge deal for me. As a grown up, I've learned that my father and mother back in the 70s were partakers of the plant of the Lord, and they grew, and this was back in Texas in the 70s. I did not start until I met my husband, and he introduced me. And I started, after doing a bit of research later on, I learned that the body has something called the cannabinoid system. Wow, that sounded really Texan. Cannabinoid system. The cannabinoid system is part of your body. Inside, there's receptors, and long story short, I don't know all the science, but there's stuff about some people need more cannabinoids than others. Some people need different cannabinoids than others, and some people's bodies process them differently. Through trial and error, between my mental health conditions, between my genetics, I am prone to needing more cannabinoids than others. I can tolerate more cannabinoids and I process them differently. My experience with cannabis started in Texas, where it was not legal, and I had to do some pretty sketchy things to get this. And it was anxiety inducing, but once I got my medicine, I was able to work and function because the cannabis helped with my CPTSD. It helped with my ADHD. It helped calm things down. Some worked better than others. And, I was hit or miss on what I got. So I just had to deal with what I had. I remember that I joined NORML, National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Woo! And my son, who was young at that time, and I used to go and we would advocate at different events. I would go and talk to my lawmakers in Austin. I even testified in front of a health committee in Austin to try to get the laws changed and expanded for cannabis use, a medical cannabis program. I spent a lot of time learning about the people and what's involved and how it works and everything that goes on. And for me, it really was a medication, and it truly still is a medication. So that continued. In 2019, I started traveling full time in a RV that I converted to a school bus with my partner, or a school bus I converted to an RV with my partner. We'll tell you all about that sometime. That's a whole exciting adventure. So we left Texas and traveled to just outside of California, where we were able to first try legal cannabis, recreational cannabis in the state of California. And that was so much fun to see and to try and experience. We traveled up the West Coast for about 4 years. We were able to travel in legal states. And so getting cannabis was not a problem. Being able to test now strains to know what worked for me and what didn't, to be able to test edibles. What I learned is that my body doesn't process edibles the same way as others. I don't feel them. I'm not sure if maybe a medical dose of 1,000 milligrams would work, but I know that what I've have access to doesn't do anything. And so for me, I don't do the edibles. It's been a learning process, which is why I say it's a medication, because just like with my psychiatrist, I spend a lot of time going back and forth with this works, this doesn't work. Okay, don't use this anymore. This causes this side effect, so go with this one. And so learning that about yourself and how you choose to partake is something that can be lots of fun. It can also be kind of stressful, but you can learn a lot. But that's why cannabis has become such a big thing for me, because I found that I felt like it was something that I need, that it's helped me a lot, and that I see benefit. At one point in Texas, I had been using some kind of medication from the psychiatrist, and it caused a disconnect when I was driving. My brain said my feet should go, press the gas, but nothing happened, and I almost got into an accident. It happened twice within about half an hour of itself, and this was a new medication. So I decided that I should stop it, and told my psychiatrist. And that was when I realized that not all of the medication that the doctors are giving me will have decent side effects. And if there's something that's natural, that's working, I should use that in moderation with support of my doctor. So I've always used it in the knowledge that my doctors have knowledge about it. So now they're aware, and it is something we take into account when I'm given new medications. I understand that terpenes are a thing. I'd love to learn more about terpenes and how they work. So maybe one day we'll dive into the terpenes. I know there's a mango terpene that seems to work pretty well. I say that with hesitation because I know it's not a mango terpene, but it's a terpene that's in mangoes and pot myrcene. Please forgive me. So anyway, we're getting to the end of our little segment here, where I introduce you to myself, to the program, to what we're going to be doing here, and what I hope we have in this little journey with you. I really need to get baked and dabbed again. Maybe I can figure out how to stretch this. Ooh, maybe I should tell you how I really enjoy like word plays. So like baked and dabbed is BAD, bad. Okay. And then we have Twisted Oven Productions, or Twisted Oven Patissier, which is going to be my cottage business. So TOP, or top. Haha. And let's go farther. So I have a company, Greenhaven Alliance Enterprise, and that spells GAE, gay. So I can do, we're having a gay meeting. It's a gay thing. Can you get me the gay envelope? It's funny. So I like to play in word plays like that. They make me happy. Yeah. Oh, and then my virtual consulting business is Quiet Ops Co, QOC. What does that sound like? Yeah. So when I come up with new businesses under my umbrella, they all, Ella, hey, hey, that's the lyricosis. So anything under the umbrella of, under the yay umbrella, will use the letters for things because I find it funny. It makes me giggle when I can get people to say, is that the gay LLC? Yes, that's the gay LLC. Anyway, I still feel like I'm too formal, too official. Like I should be, ooh, I should explain to you why the cooking thing's a thing. I said I loved cooking, and it's always been a thing I've always wanted to cook. But like when I was younger, I would pretend that the wall was a camera, and I would explain what I was doing to the camera while I did it. So now we're going to do this. And I swear I was Rachel Ray, or whoever the frick, I swear that was who I was. But it was fun. So maybe that's why I sound like I'm too professional. That's it for Baked and Dabbed. I'm Lena. Hopefully that hit you just right, so you'll subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave those below and follow along as we continue on this journey being baked and dabbed together. I think the outtakes will be good. So anyway, thank you for joining me on Baked and Dabbed. I'm Lena. I'm baked and dabbed. Ah.